And now you're telling me that when they started looking into where this money was coming from, it's actually eluding them how the money is coming from Japan and Korea. And wasn't that Charlie's last trip? Bizarrely, he went to Korea. And then after he went to Korea and met with a pastor, that pastor got arrested. And then after he went to Korea, he went to Japan. I'm just saying the past is feeling like it's a bit prologue. Why was Charlie going to build up? What does Charlie Kirk have to do with Korea?
You know, to be honest, I wasn't going to talk so quickly about GGLF again, which is for Charlie Kirk's life insurance policy. But I don't know what to do with this information. Once I found out about it, I knew I had to come straight to you guys and let you take it from here. So I'm going to give you the information and let you do what you do best and share it and figure out what the hell is going on here with GGLF, Wyoming, and North Korean weapons money laundering. The FBI seized 3 Wyoming companies for funding North Korea.
All right, so back it up just a little bit. What did Danks just say?
And North Korean weapons money laundering. The FBI seized 3 Wyoming companies for funding North Korean nuclear weapons. Candace.
Whew, that is a mouthful. So I'm here with my guy Danks. What's going on? The original Dankster. Introduce yourself real quick.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am Danks, the American original Dankster intelligence system. But yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on, Mr. Pleasure to be on, bro. Thanks for having me. It's been a while since I've seen you, so it's great to be in the house. And you know, I've been a long time supporter.
Yeah,
well,
man.
At least for the better part of a year. So.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got, let me see, something. Is the thing still coming on? Everybody come on in and make sure to hit the like button. I just need to make sure the video. Okay, so everything's good. We were having somewhat of a lag at first. All right, so we good now. So let's start with this Korean weapons systems. Can you just elaborate on that before we just go to the video, since I have you here? Where, what, who, how, and what, and why? What is that? Before we go to the video.
What happened was that in May of 2024, the FBI and the Department of Justice seized 3, I mentioned the video, 3 Wyoming LLCs that were being used to funnel money to North Korea's weapons programs, weapons of destruction. Like, I don't know the specific details of that, but they were using Wyoming's secrecy of filing their LLCs there because they have similar laws, if not even more like secretive, like Delaware. But Wyoming, you know, you could file an LLC as a shell company and all they know is that there's a company there and the name, you know, and then that is the same organization. So they use this company called Registered Agents Incorporated to file their LLCs. North Korea did. The weapons program connected directly to Kim Jong-un. All right. Charlie Kirk or whoever filed GGLF, which is the company that Turning Point USA loaned for Charlie Kirk's life insurance policy. That's what it states on Turning Point USA's 990. Is the same company that had 3 websites, companies seized by the FBI. So it's the same company registering the LLCs in Wyoming. Does that make sense? It's a little confusing, but I try to make it. So these 3 companies were called Culture Box LLC. You can Google it. Culture Box, like culture. Next Nets LLC and Blackish Tech LLC. So all 3 registered by Wyoming's Registered Agents Incorporated, and they have the very same address, which is 30 North Gold Street, Suite R in Sheridan, Wyoming. So and the scheme really is
Culture Box.
Culture Box, yeah. Next Nets, like the New York Nets, and Blackish Tech LLC.
Okay.
And so North Korean IT workers, they would use fake identities to get remote contracts with US companies, and they'd create these Wyoming LLCs because it's cheap, anonymous, and there's no beneficiary or like private ownership disclosure necessary in Wyoming. And then they would route the payments through these shell companies back straight to Pyongyang to fund weapons programs. Legit, like that is documented.
Okay, so that's the thing right there. Funding weapons. Because through this whole time, we've been talking about I'll just say the trafficking, right? Now we're looking at weapons. So it's trafficking the tadpoles. Now there's a possibility there's some laundering or trafficking of weapons. Which one or both? What do you think? And this is all entertainment. Like we just having a conversation. But go ahead.
Yeah, and this is all just like speculation from here,
Speculation.
right? I think that it could be both, but what the FBI and DOJ have stated publicly is that it was for money laundering purposes, specifically for Kim Jong-un's weapons programs. How they're doing it and why, like specifically what the money is going for and why they would choose to launder money through the US. Maybe it's because they're able to get more greenbacks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here, obviously American dollars here, which is way more valuable than whatever North Korea is using. And then they can literally just like either send it through crypto or however they want to do it back to North Korea. Because they're like, despite what we might have some image of North Korea, they're a very, very poor country. Okay. So they will do anything to get as much money as possible. But the problem is, instead of using it to benefit their people, they're just absorbing the money and spending it frivolously or just like whatever, they're not doing it for their people. So they're just taking money in any way that they can. And what better way than to take it from one of your worst enemies, you know what I mean? As North Korea, than to literally get our dollar bills in their ecosystem. That's kind of how I see it.
Okay, so in your video, hold on, I'm just gonna play this and then we'll keep going because this right here kind of like
Korea on Tuesday. Start a kind of a turning point.
So one of the things that had me thinking is this guy right here, Rob McCoy. Once Charlie Kirk died, here comes Rob McCoy running over to Korea, taking his shirt off, dancing in front of everybody, and talking about freedom. So I'm just going to play the video.
Now, after this for Phoenix and then on to Korea on Tuesday, they are trying to start a kind of a turning point, young conservatives in Korea movement. And so they invited me to come, which is going to ruin the entire thing.
Korea needs freedom, and the church is the soul of this nation. It's time to stand for truth, regardless of the consequences.
한국은 이 자유가 필요합니다. 그리고 교회는 국가의 양심입니다. 그 대한민국을 지키기 위해서 기독교인들이 일어서야 합니다.
Okay, so that was South Korea. Are those two situations the same, or what is Rob McCoy over there doing, in your opinion, according to your findings?
Well, he's in South Korea to protest the government's raid on what Candace has been talking about, the Unification Church. So the stated purpose is really protesting the government on like Christianity, but then like I don't know too deeply about what this Unification Church is, and I'm learning it from Candace. Is apparently this Mooney family. What it's looking like to me is this kind of undercover op to get more money through the guise of religion. And actually, what I was doing some research with Charlie Kirk, they're kind of using Charlie Kirk as a martyr over there. I didn't even realize or know about that. But as I was looking through, they're kind of saying, oh, he died like for our cause, which is kind of crazy. I don't know if that's true what they're saying, but that's what I've been reading. And And what happened in South Korea, which was in 2025, is that South Korean prosecutors have started investigating the Unification Church for tax evasion, embezzlement. So they'll like divert church funds for personal use, fraudulent activities, misleading followers for financial gain, and all these types of practices, and coercive recruitment. So cult-like control. And what have we been hearing about TP Faith, right? This seems to be like an extension of TP Faith over in South Korea. And what's interesting to me is that like this person Key or K or whatever, Key arrest, 12 days after Kirk left South Korea, Han Hak-ja, which is Moon's widow. Sorry, I said Key. I'm like reading something. It says Key arrest. It's not K. Don't get me confused. The Key arrest was in September. So after 12 days after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, this Moon's widow was arrested, right?
Yeah.
So this is all kind of tying into this major Unification Church conversation that Candace Owens has been raising. So
yeah,
it's definitely interesting. And really what Rob McCoy what is he doing there in South Korea? The question I would say is, I think they're trying to use religion to do a bunch of things, but probably start with the money, right? And to me, it seems like following the money is what's gotten me furthest in this investigation, 4 videos, than a lot of people have talking about a lot of other things, you know? So once you start talking about the money, start rattling the cage, as you can see, you know, I had 2,000 followers like 8 days ago. So like, it's people are interested in seeing, and I don't have a whole lot, like almost 12,500, but that it's not about that. It's about the fact that finally we're actually getting to something else besides who was there at the date, because we're not going to find out who and why necessarily, most likely, by constantly reviewing the same videos over and over and over and over again. We have to expand outside of what happened that day, just like you did from day one, and bringing out the Romanian angels and the kids and all of that. Yeah. It's a multifaceted arrangement, and TPUSA and entities related are global, as you can see. You know, Rob McCoy is representing TP Faith and TPUSA in Korea.
And that's the thing that I always wanted to focus on. Like, we got to broaden our scope on this instead of just talking about the same thing all day, every day. Like, this is so much. I said from the beginning, Charlie Kirk was cool, but this ain't about Charlie Kirk to me. This is about what was surrounding Charlie Kirk, what Charlie Kirk was enabling, you know? And so we got to follow the money. And that's why I wanted to have you on, because you have the ultimate follow the money video. So let's get into this a little bit, because a lot of people didn't see it. But so make sure to follow Original Dankster on X as well as YouTube.
I changed the Turning Point US because it kept coming up as some other like weed music channel, so I changed it to Dankster Intel, and now it's easy to find me. So
Dankster,
Intel.
Okay, Dankster Intel, Dankster Intel. That's why I couldn't find you. You kept changing your name, probably. Okay. All right, here we go.
Days going on weeks now, page by page, line by line, and I've gone through every single IRS documentation from every single Turning Point entity. All right, there's actually 4, but we're focusing on Turning Point USA Incorporated, the LLC's 990. Now, I've been looking for irregularities. I've been looking for patterns, and I've found something that is going to shatter everything that they've told us about what is going on about the life insurance policy of Charlie Kirk. This is a Schedule L. We're going to get right to it. So if you look up here, it says Schedule L, all right? Transactions with interested persons. So essentially, this is dealing with involved insiders, board members that they do deals with. There's an entry in here. Essentially, these are loans, okay? So you can see here, it says loans to and or from interested persons, okay? So it says name of interested person. So that means that they're giving a loan to this company, GGLF 2023 LLC, all right? this stopped me. And it made me, I had to go through it a few times because I didn't quite grasp. I had to reach out to a buddy of mine and ask him because, you know, this isn't my wheelhouse. I'm not a tax advisor. You know what I mean? So this is new territory for me. But once I did, that's why it's taken me a few days to come out with this research, because this is something that shattered me when I realized what was going on. So look at this entry here. This is a loan to, okay, not from, it's name of interested persons. If it was for TPUSA, it would be of to TPUSA, okay? The interested persons for the loan is GGLF 2023 LLC. It's a loan for $350,000. And I'll zoom in there so you can see it. The original principal amount, okay, from Turning Point USA going over to something called GGLF 2023 LLC, as you can.
Okay, so what exactly is that? Why would somebody take out a loan if they're making all of this money from this nonprofit company? Is it because they can't take the money out legally because it's a nonprofit? What is your pontification on that?
Well, there's multiple things that can be done with this company, right? So on that document, it shows that they took, okay, it's such an interesting situation and it's kind of complicated, right? But yeah, so there you go. So it shows right there, entity owned by president and CEO to the relationship with the organization. So the organization stated on that document is the company filing that document, which is Turning Point USA.
Yeah.
All right. And then it asks what is the relationship with Turning Point USA, with this organization filing the paperwork? Well, it happens to be that the entity is the owner, that is the president or CEO of TPUSA. It doesn't say Charlie Kirk. It doesn't say Erika Kirk. It doesn't say any of that. It just says entity that's owned by president and CEO. That's what got me to want to look deeper into it. Yeah. Now, multiple things could happen. And obviously, because it's, again, behind the Wyoming LLC laws of secrecy or whatever they call it, you can't find out any more information other than that, right? Because it's a for-profit entity, to my knowledge. So if it's a nonprofit, then they would have to file 990s and we'd be able to see more public information because we're subsidizing that through taxes. It would be tax exempt, but it's not. So you could give yourself a loan for $350,000. The only other time that TPUSA gave a loan that I found was to Charlie Kirk, and it's stated to Charlie Kirk for $7,500. Okay, that was in 2018. This was the only other one that I found, and it doesn't say Charlie Kirk. It says to this company, which is owned by the president / CEO. So that video, I believe that's the one that says Erika. I know why. This is the real reason why Erika Kirk is the CEO of Turning Point USA. Well, this is, in my mind, it would be the fact that she would need to have control of both entities because she'll naturally absorb any estate that would be like GGLF. So that would already go to her, essentially, probably, unless it's stated otherwise somewhere else. However, the benefit of having both is the important part that people miss. And if she has both, then she can decide if the loan ever gets paid back, if they do any more business with GGLF and how they go about doing that business, how the secrecy would stay secret if she wanted it to. Because if she doesn't, I don't know if you saw also that company dissolved, but then they reinstated it.
It. Yeah.
Okay. So what's important about that is that if they don't reinstate it, the life insurance policy still plays as long as they file within 90 days of the death. Right. However, if they file it then, and there's no LLC to file it with, then everything would become public. The benefit, well, mostly it would have to go through courts and lawyers.
Wait, what does public mean? You said
public meaning more public than behind the Wyoming LLC. So they can claim the life insurance through GGLF and all the stuff happening behind the scenes stay private. That's the importance of re-establishing that $60 that they didn't that they forgot to pay or they didn't pay. If they don't pay it, then they would have to go to court and go to civil claims and then do the life insurance. They'd go through lawyers to figure out the beneficiaries. It's a split dollar life insurance policy, which means the organization gives a loan or pays the life insurance to the company that's supplying the policy. Then the beneficiaries typically would be not only Charlie Kirk's, whoever they designated the beneficiary, but typically also the loan provider, the organization TPUSA. So they both benefit. So TPUSA has an interest in the life insurance policy.
So just a question.
Yeah.
Just a question. Just from a money thing. Hold on, let me fix this. What the hell? Everything just went blank. Hold on. Let's see if it comes back.
Yeah, it was green for a second.
All right, let's see.
You need that.
What is going on? What is going on? What is happening? Right, like what the hell? All right, I'll just come out, take it out, and put it back in. Pause. All right, so let's see if I could do this. So just to the normal everyday person, just a question. If they are worth almost $1 billion, and of course there was a life insurance policy already, because I'm sure, you know, the typical married couple has a life insurance policy. Why go through all this? Because the life insurance policy is going to go
a form called a 990. That's the thing. It's very strange. Yeah, it's very strange.
Because you ain't got to pay taxes on life insurance and all this other stuff. Somebody died. Somebody just died. Like, so what is the point of them doing all this, in your opinion? That's the thing that confuses me a little bit.
Well, it could be many things. It could be that maybe he knew he was, look, he had already been talking about the stuff that he was going to die. They were out to get me. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Candace has shown more information about his skepticism of being attacked, and that she's going to have to carry the torch. So I'm starting to get more and more around the fact that maybe he did pull out this insurance, but also it could be the fact that, look, on the document, it shows that they still owed the full premium plus interest, $355K. So it could also be a test to say, hey, maybe we can loan ourselves some extra capital and not pay it back. I'm the CEO.
When they started looking,
like, who's gonna really, look into that? But also, again, like
why
you
do
said,
they need the capital?
Yeah,
why do they need the capital?
To me,
it's just assumed that they have all this, capital to. So why do they need?
They don't really. They don't. See, that's where it gets strange. I think they could definitely have had somebody else file it. People tell me, like, no, there has to be a physical involved and this and that. Yeah, probably. But what if the person that the company they're filing the life insurance with is a friend of a friend, and maybe there's some backdoor deal that Charlie didn't know about? Yeah, Tyler Boyer.
My assumption is, okay, I always thought, because this is just a thought, Tyler Boyer and Erika Kirk has been working together through this whole time. So once Charlie Kirk died, how is Tyler Boyer going to continue to thrive if he was told to step down from being a COO of Turning Point USA, and now he's CEO of Turning Point Action, and Turning Point Action is simply a shell company? So it may not even be worth anything. And then earlier, Wolf of Wall Street, I forgot his name.
Wolves of Finance.
Wolves of Finance talked about how Tyler Boyer transferred $8 million from Turning Point USA over to Turning Point Action. So I'm thinking, like, maybe this situation with his life insurance is a way to make sure Tyler Boyer, gets a piece of the action once Charlie died.
Yeah, I mean, remember, split dollar life insurance, the TPUSA has an interest because they typically would get a piece of the beneficiary, if not a lot of it, and then the family or whoever is the other beneficiary in excess would receive the excess beneficiary.
Right.
So Yeah, I mean, there's definitely multiple things that could be happening here, but also, yeah, to me, okay, so if you want to put like a tinfoil hat on, I'd say, okay, if they had free reign to do whatever they want, if they knew CK was going to be killed, why wouldn't you find a way to get a big ass life insurance policy taken out so you could get paid and then have it done through a secret shell company where you will never be divulged of that information, right? Maybe if Erika is in on it, hey, like, yo, you know, like if, like, God forbid, if she's in on it, then yo, let's just split the 40 million or 25 million, whatever.
Yes.
And then let's I've got some other information. Like I was thinking about talking about it today with you a little bit, but I don't want to blow the video I got coming tomorrow. There's a lot of, yeah, I mean, look,
so
now,
so let me say this. So in other words, see, this is not just about taxes and all this other stuff. This is about money going into somebody's account. So like you said, a $350,000 life insurance, that is worth what, $4 to $7 million. Is that true? Something like that, right?
What I've read is anywhere from 10 to 50 million.
Oh, okay. Okay. Even worse or better. 10 to 50 million.
Just depends on the company. Yeah.
So when that money gets allotted, right, it goes into somebody's account. With it being in this Delaware situation, the public is not going to know whose account it goes to and who is, like, you know, if it's multiple people. This way, nobody's going to be like, wait, Tyler Boyer profited off of Charlie Kirk's death? Instead, it's like, oh, wow, some company had this life insurance and nobody knows where the money went to. Is that correct?
Yeah. To me, yeah, that's what it seems like, is that the company itself would get the payout, and then however they want to distribute the funds and whenever,
nobody's going to know.
Nobody would know.
Because it's this Delaware secret type of shell company situation. This is the reason why people get LLCs in Delaware, because you don't have to really say who owns the company and all this other stuff. So I'm just want to explain that to everybody, because I understood it a little bit, but I want to make sure everybody was still on the same page. So let's get into this a little bit. And you said you wanted to divulge something. Did you want to, or did you want to wait?
I'll think about it. Let's keep going.
Okay,
I do want to. It's going to tie into this. I think it's important, and you know, you have a nice, you know, I love you guys here. I've been a fan of you guys and been a part of the community for a while. So I might drop a little something here that I've been looking into on Boyer. And super feed technologies you might have been hearing going around, Lori Frantzve. It goes deeper, okay, than money at this point.
Yes, weapons.
So, yeah, weapons, foreign intelligence, potentially, allegedly.
Yeah.
I mean, look, this is what I can say for now.
Okay.
It's documented publicly that Superfeed Technologies, which is Tyler Boyer's media company, which creates Turning Point USA's applications. Okay, this is the thing. This is kind of a summary of what I'll be talking about tomorrow.
Okay.
Turning Point USA has these media Apple Store apps, right? Okay. On those apps, it states on the apps that we can track you on across different applications in our app store, and we can track your geolocation and all of your personal data, and it's like whatever iPhone has on you, they've got it too. Whatever Superfeed has, the same thing as Apple Store, okay, or Google Store.
So now, this is bigger than geofencing,
bro. This is what I'm going to tell you right now is gonna be crazy. Listen, that technology company is based out of Ukraine, right in the heart of the war in Russia and Ukraine.
How?
They're building, bro. It's a foreign for-profit entity that is using. They have at least 3 lead developers in Kiev, and they're building this shit off of generators in the middle of the war zone when they know, how does this company since 2018 start and continue building all throughout the war and running off of generators and hiring people in third party and other parts in other countries as well, but focusing in that area? And Russian intelligence could have access, and probably does have access, to Ukrainian intelligence, which through Tyler Boyd's Superfeed company is probably being hacked. And you've got millions of American conservative voters' data in that fucking place, bro.
But
Tell me.
why?
So
Like,
then now
Go ahead.
look at where Lori Frantzve, okay, now like she is such a ghost online. It's so hard to find information. Only whatever she said or what other people have said or whatever the DOJ and FBI have said that she's done good work and this and that and EMPs and this and that. There's something here, because why would you have a for-profit foreign entity that's lead developers are in Kiev? Why?
Right. Why?
And they didn't file, that I can find, a Foreign Agent Registration Act, FARA. They haven't filed any of that. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're building voter turnout data machines, applications in a foreign country, wouldn't you need to disclose that?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's not disclosed. That's what my video is about tomorrow.
Golly, man.
And it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper.
But does everybody understand why I keep saying, like, who cares about an exploded microphone? It's so much bigger than that. This is about espionage. This is about treason. This is about weapons trafficking. This is about tadpole trafficking. This is so much bigger than how did Charlie Kirk die? Who cares? It's so much bigger. This is Superfeed is an offset from Turning Point USA. Then you got Turning Point Faith. They're trying to
funded through donor money, bro. American dollars.
Donor money, right? So the thing about it is, Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA has literally created a monster. You remember how Pinky and the Brain was like, every morning we're here to take over the world. They're literally taking over the world in front of our faces. But y'all want to talk about exploding microphones? Who gives a shit? That's all I'm saying. It's so much bigger.
And then it kind of goes back to, so I was like, once I started looking into this, it made sense, because just the other day, day before Monday or whatever, or maybe Thursday, Candace was talking about how Tyler Boyer went and saw this Russian or Ukrainian girl and was talking Russian to her.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I went and I researched, and maybe even Candace mentioned, he was in the Latter-day Saints Mormon church, and at the age of 16, usually they spend 2 years abroad. Well, he went to Russia. Okay. So he's got connections, allegedly, in that territory. Why wouldn't he have any persons or people or business allies to do business with? And why choose Ukraine of all places? And then you've got Erika Kirk in Romanian Angels in that sector of the world as well. So it's like, look, somebody in my Discord, she was like, I'm trying to figure out this whole thing, and like looking at all this information. And I was like, look, you've got to pull at one thread at a time. And then it's kind of like a puzzle. You just keep putting the pieces together until you have yourself a nice big picture, right?
Yeah.
So I'm pulling at all the threads as deeply as I can. And some of these allegations might sound harsh, but it's necessary, because guess what? They aren't telling us anything. In fact, they're doing the opposite, and they're telling us to shut up, right? What do you do as a kid when they tell you to shut up? You get louder, you cry louder. So here we are. If you don't want to talk, I guess we'll do the talking until you're ready.
So here's my way of looking at all this whole puzzle, because that's what this whole thing is a huge puzzle. When you look at world domination, because that's what I'm looking at. World domination. You have the churches, you have the money, which is the funding, the donors, right? You have other countries working alongside of you. they have that because of IHOP. I haven't even talked about IHOP in so long because there's so many other pieces to this. Then you have to have some type of laundering. We have that. We have espionage. We have a little piece of treason. But then we also have the president's ear, because and having the president's ear brings in not bribery, but making sure he doesn't blow the whole thing up, because he's the president, but he's in these Epstein files. And due to the fact that the president is in these Epstein files, he can't say anything about anything because they have control over everything else. So they have control over the president of the United States. So when you look at everything, Turning Point USA, Erika Kirk herself, and you let me know if I'm crazy by saying this, Erika Kirk and Tyler Boyer are possibly more powerful than Trump right now.
Yeah, they could be. I mean, I wouldn't say, I don't know. That's an interesting perspective. I haven't really thought of it that way, because if none of this happened and Charlie Kirk never died, they'd be more powerful, because they literally are able to sway public opinion through Charlie Kirk, but they don't have that anymore, So now without him, they're under extreme scrutiny. And the videos I've made, albeit they haven't gone viral and stuff, it doesn't matter. What I'm glad is that other people have started talking about it. People that are smarter than me, people that know more than me, people that are higher up than me, because the conversation needed to start sometime. And finally, Zach did open that from Woes of Finance. And I was actually on the phone with Jesse on Fire when I finished watching his video, and I was like, bro, I think there's something more here. And he's like, go look into it, see what happens. And I'm so glad I did, because there's a lot to the money as well, because not only is all of this outside, like this, what we're talking about is happening. Like what I've all said is true. As far as Superfeed and the LLCs and the life insurance, but the speculation is around why and what's happening with those other entities, right? Because they're not only are they using those funds to, like, say, for example, and maybe we're going to get into it a little bit, but I'll just say, for example, they are, okay, Stacey Sheridan, she's somebody I mentioned in one of my videos. She is in charge of raising donor money for TPUSA. Then, and she gets paid a salary, $180K or whatever it is. That's what I saw in the documentation. But then she has a fundraising company that takes the funds from the donors, routes it through her LLC, then brings it into Turning Point. She takes a commission through her company, although it's not stated because we can't see as it's a for-profit donor fundraising company, apparently. And then they get the money into TPUSA. What's interesting is she also has a media strategies company, GSM Strategies, where not only is she using her company to bring in the funds into TPUSA, she takes the funds right out of TPUSA and puts it back into her media company for X million dollars. So it's like you're taking donor money, taking a profit, taking a salary, and then you're paying yourself through a media company from that very same money. It's like, how much crazy, shady stuff could you do with 1, 2, 3, 4 organizations under TPUSA? Apparently a lot.
So this is the way I see this, because I want to stand on Erika Kirk and Tyler Boyer without Charlie Kirk is more powerful than Trump. One, Trump is failing the country. Everybody hates Trump. And you could say everybody hates Erika Kirk also, right? But who is up under more scrutiny? Of course, the president of the United States, right? And the president of the United States, even though he can do certain things, it's certain things he can't do due to the fact that he's under so much scrutiny and he wants to be reelected. But when you look at Erika Kirk and Tyler Boyer, they're not worrying about being reelected. They're not worrying about anything political. They can just do whatever they want to do because the magnifying glass is not on them compared to the president of the United States. So they have the Department of Defense in their pocket due to the fact they have an amazing long-term, decades-long relationship with IHOP having to do with the Department of Defense. That's Lori Frantzve and Kent Frantzve, right? So they have probably as good of a relationship with other countries as Trump does. But the difference between Trump and the Frantzves is the Frantzves, they have a relationship that is technological. They're offering them technology that has something to do with the Iron Dome. So looking at the value of them in that versus the relationship with Trump, I think the Frantzves would be able to have more ability to, sway an opinion or, whatever they need to do or get from IHOP than the president of the United States. Foreign donors, you can't necessarily get foreign donations going towards Trump because he's the president of the United States. But with all these shell companies, everything we're talking about, they can do whatever they want to do because, as you can see, we're looking at their taxes. They're actively doing all this stuff. So they're getting foreign donor money without having to legally do it, just like, how everybody else will have to do it. What is it? FASCA? What was it? Foreign
FARA, the Foreign Agents Registration Act.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They're circumventing FARA, right? And then
also they use the 501c3 and c4 to their benefit, and those are different ways of hiding the donors. Yeah, exactly. And
the president of the United States can't do that.
Yeah, yeah. And essentially, you could use one of the factions, like TPUSA could be a 501c3, TPA could be a 501c4, 50 whatever, and they serve different purposes.
Right.
You can hide the donor money. You could do tax-free.
You can hide the donor money, can circumvent FARA. And then, so one, they have IHOP in their pocket. I think they have a better relationship with IHOP than the president of the United States because of what I said. They have the superfeed technology, and the president of the United States probably don't even know what the hell a superfeed technology is, right? So they have a better understanding of the technology that another country or, certain factions of America will need. So they're more vetted. They're more understanding of different technologies, which means another country values that more than the relationship with the president, because the president is just a person. He doesn't really know anything.
Yeah.
And so
if IHOP wanted to come in and get their, okay, let's think about it like this. If BB, and IHOP wanted to get in and Charlie wouldn't let them, what do you think $150 million would demand? Like, if you gave me $150 million, what would you want from me, right? What is the most valuable thing you could get from Americans that are against your cause, hypothetically?
Technology.
Data. American Christian data from people that show up to events. Remember when Andrew Colvett, he publicly stated that we tracked 277,000 people at Charlie Kirk's funeral. Well, who the hell do you think they got that data with? Superfeed Technologies is my assumption. Okay.
Yes.
So if you're able to get 250,000 people just one time, and you're able to track all of their life after, okay, these are American young Christian donors, potentially, or voters that show up. That's valuable data. If you know anything about data farming, data harvesting, selling data, like what you can do with that data, good and bad.
Now you see what I'm saying.
Extremely valuable. Yeah.
So the thing about it is, and do you know that Turning Point USA is over almost every mega church on the West Coast. So they're presently data farming. They're presently geofencing. See, that 277,000 people, that was just one time. Every time people go to church on Sunday, right now in 2026, they're being geofenced at one of these Calvary churches. And, i.e. Turning Point Faith. So they have control. Go ahead.
No, my bad. I was just gonna say, I was looking in my area just to see, and I would like in Southern California, I think they're tracking just in my little county, Riverside, California, it's like 38 churches. See? Like that's just one county. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. So they have the ability to not only track, but they have the ability to psychologically and emotionally manipulate more people through their churches versus, because the pulpit is way more powerful than the podium that the president sits on or, stands at, because most people don't even care about the president, but they love their pastor. Don't talk about my pastor. When you get in them churches, you love your pastor, you love your congregation. So whatever the pastor says, whether they're wrong or right, you're going to listen to them. Ain't nobody listening to no damn Donald Trump.
We give taxes because we have to. These people give money to the church because they want to.
Plus the donors.
And the donors.
Plus the donors. And plus the foreign donors.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. There's more power with Turning Point USA versus anything that the president of the United States can do. And that's what I'm saying. And that's why they are so diabolically powerful, because they have and invented the technology. We're talking about people who have invented technology versus somebody that is just, they hold a role over something. They can push a button and start a war with another country, but that other country can turn around and say, hey, we don't want to do A, B, and C. So we could turn around and circumvent some shit where somebody can pass a law in Congress that could stop the actual president from doing something.
And that data pipeline goes straight to Ukraine, which is at Russia.
Because Congress controls the president. Nobody controls Turning Point USA.
Right.
Turning Point USA can essentially control Congress if they need to, because of how much technology and how much value that they hold to literally the world.
Yeah, and there's obviously millions of people inside of their vast pipeline. Yeah. And again, it's cell phone data and whatever's on your phone. Once you get that app in your phone, that's it. They got you. You know what I mean? So it's this web of interconnected donors and data and just like farming of information. And what we don't know what's being done with it, because that entity is private, right? It's a private,
we all know
profit company.
The most valuable thing is data, not money, not oil, money. I mean, it's data,
Yeah.
To be honest, data and sex are the two most valuable commodities on the planet.
You can sell one of for somebody to show up to a donor event or to a TPUSA event, that's showing a lot of that's showing a person who's looking to acquire that data that this is a high value target or a high value data set. So each one of these things could be sold for anywhere from $2 to $15. So if it's just one event, you're talking about making a minimum of maybe $1 million every single time 250,000 people show up. And then, not only that, you don't have to fully sell out. You could just license that data and you could sell it over and over and over again to multiple different companies for whatever purpose that they want. There's black market data, consumer sites and all that. So it's scary to think that maybe there's something there. Like maybe that's what it's like everything we find. Maybe that's what Charlie was looking at. It's like, maybe it's all of it, maybe there's the life insurance. There's this technology company. What is Lori Frantzve doing on both boards with Tyler Boyer? And did Lori introduce Erika to Boyer and Boyer introduce Erika to Charlie? Like, how do we not know that this is all staged Truman Show level from the big wig up top?
Yeah, and Franz Kent is on or was on, is or was, I'm not exactly sure now, on the board of Turning Point USA.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm
too.
saying. They're in control of everything. So it's like, I don't know what. Okay, if you have a wife and your wife's parents have so much understanding of a certain technology, you would just say, oh wow, let's use that technology, for Turning Point USA. You're not going to be like, well, I don't trust your parents. That's your wife's parents. Why would you not trust your wife's parents? So you're like, yeah, do this. And you're going to put them on a board and you're going to have them in control of different things, because to a certain degree, a lot of, the head of the company don't really know nothing. That's why they got to get a CEO, they got to get CFO and then COO, because they're the ones who are literally doing the everyday operations. So you employ people that are smarter than you. And that's literally what Charlie Kirk did. He employed all these people that were smarter than him. But the problem is, all these people were working in unison with each other. And I don't think he knew that.
Yeah. Let's try to put ourselves in like Kent and Lori's position, right?
Mhm.
Say you have this high technologically advanced, hold on, my wife just got home. Say you have this company with highly advanced technology, and even if, say, you have a friend, right, just like me and you, say we own this technology company, and one of our homies like comes out with this really good business idea that we could use to benefit our companies, like we probably would try to find a way to get in and work a deal and like, hey, let's do this, let's do that. But then if it's the kids essentially and your son-in-law that owns this company, that just gives you even more good graces to kind of freestyle and come up with ideas and do things without being questioned, because who's going to question their high and mighty powerful parent,
right?
Or parent-in-law, right?
Yeah.
So it gives them this free reign.
You'll put them on here. You'll put them in charge of this. You'll put them in charge of that.
And it looks great because they got all these good credentials.
I don't have to do nothing.
Yeah. And look at how credible our company is, man. We're working with the DOD and we're at the White House and we're at the CIA, and my girl is over here doing this and doing that. And like, I'm over here at the college campuses. It looks great, from an outside perspective, but what's happening behind the scenes, he seems to me like, very outspoken, very passionate person. But also maybe he was naive for a while and opened up and found out some things that they didn't want him to find out. And it's probably something that nobody's fully put together or even mentioned yet. So
do you realize it's a possibility that Erika Kirk and her family is what made Charlie Kirk actually famous or actual powerful behind the fame? Because he was just a dude that was, going out arguing with young people at colleges. That wasn't really nothing crazy. To have this company that was so powerful, do you think it really was built off of just debating with students? No, it was data. It was the technology that her and her parents brought to Turning Point USA.
Yeah, it's got to be that, as well as getting behind Trump.
Because then, that too. So, because then they can package the years of data with all of these students and get a foreign company or an American company to give them money for said data. And then when you bring up Trump, who do you think had a better relationship with Trump from day one? The Frantzves or Charlie Kirk? The
Frantzves.
They knew him. They may be in the Epstein files. I don't know, but they may be in the Epstein files. So the thing about it is, Charlie Kirk was just a figurehead. I don't think he even had any power. If you just really think about it, it was all Erika Kirk. It was all the Frantzves. It was all them from day one. I don't think Charlie Kirk was really anybody. They just stuck him at the top because he knew he was a good orator.
Yeah, I mean, think about every time he shows up to these college campuses, and I'm sure they've got a little QR code, like, hey, download our app, see what Charlie Kirk's talking about, get our media newsletter. Every single person that has done that has been data farmed by the Frantzves.
Since 2005.
And Boyer, let's not forget, Boyer is just as implicated. Now, if I were to guess, Boyer is the next chess piece, right, for the Frantzves. That's what it might be. Maybe he's got these assets in Russia, Ukraine. I'm just guessing, and this is what I wholeheartedly believe. This is not slander. I'm just saying, why would you have Boyer and do business and sit on a board with Boyer on a tech company when you are capable of creating EMPs for the DOD? Okay.
And stop right there. I want to show you something because I don't know if you've seen this, because this is going to help add to this also, because I want to show you how every single person was connected to the Frantzves.
Let's see.
Waiting for it to upload now.
My most important discovery in the
What is
Charlie
it
Kirk
doing?
saga so far. I started researching Dan Flood, and I found his resume on an old website. And I noticed in his resume, it states...
Can you hear this?
Yeah.
That from 1997 to 2003, he was a...
So 1997 to 2003, that's very important.
Officer, but from 1999 to 2000, he was a regulatory researcher and software instructor for HSE Systems. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I wonder where he did that. In 1995, he was an OSHA safety consultant and a safety resource company of Ohio, where he inspected work sites, practices, and gear for compliance and established safety standards. He responded to any emergencies as instructed with utmost efficiency. He was recognized and documented and advised on removal of hazards. This was in North Canton, Ohio, from 1994 to 1999. What I found interesting was that he was in Ohio. And you know who else was in Ohio that got their company started there?
Tyler Boyer.
It was Lori Frantzve and Ken Frantzve, started in Ohio, and then moved their company to Arizona. So I thought...
They moved their company to Arizona later. And do you know why they're over in Arizona? The border.
Yeah.
The border.
The border. Oh, okay.
The
Well, I
border.
thought it was that Fort Huachuca as well.
The border.
Okay.
So I want you to think about this. Remember, Romania, the Romanian Angels, right? They were 20 minutes away from the base. So you got the orphans and then you got the base. So in Arizona, you have Fort Huachuca and then you got the border. It's the same thing. Access to tadpoles.
What's interesting is Ohio keeps coming up from the, Jeffrey files to I didn't know about that, right? What you just showed. But also Superfeed Technologies, which was previously Feed Me Incorporated, was their primary investor was named Michael Gibbons, which is an Ohio investor through what's called BGL Group, based out of Ohio. It's a private placement investments company.
Damn.
Yeah.
God.
So what is Ohio?
This is what I'm saying. But the thing about it is they had to leave Ohio because they had to get close to that border. Because
so what do you think at the border is like? What is? I guess
children.
Give me what you're okay. Just the children,
orphans.
Yeah.
Virtually every one of these people, whether it's Brian Harpool, is Rick Cutler, they all are. They love helping orphans. Orphans. Everything having to do with some damn orphans. Everybody adopting orphans and shit. Tyler Boyer adopted an orphan. Erika Kirk, orphanage. So they need, I'm not gonna say they need, but there's access to tadpoles. Remember, I said data and sex are the two most important commodities on the planet because they never go out, they never go away. You can always get more data, and sex, sex. It's Sex doesn't disappear. Water disappears. Oil disappears. Everything else disappears. But sex and data it actually multiplies because you have sex with a woman, of course, consensually, and she has a baby. Now there's a kid. And, like I said, they are going after orphans, Candace Owens was just talking about, I talked about this earlier today, how they also, Turning Point USA, they have some type of adjacent connection to not churches, not orphanages, but these places where there are shelters for young girls who just got pregnant. And then, according to what Candace Owens was saying, the girl, if she thinks she's too young, they'll literally facilitate a scenario where she can have the baby and the baby goes out to a family that would potentially start the whole thing all over again. So the trafficking turns into the trafficking because trafficking causes babies, and then more babies, as long as they're female, causes more trafficking.
See, and then what if that person that goes to that new family, maybe that family is part of the whole system, and then if that kid gets pregnant under the age of 18, goes right back to that Liberty Church, and the cycle starts over again.
That's what I'm saying. So data grows and sex grows. Nothing else grows.
This is my homegirl right here that threw the super chat, living for his glory daily.
Living for his glory daily. It's my first time to watch you, but I've heard great things. Glad to see you, and thanks on live. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for watching. Yeah, Thanks is a great person. I've known you ever since this whole Charlie Kirk situation was going just in the background. Shout out to Brown Sugar. Please hit the like button, thumbs up the video. Also, you can support the channel by Cash App, Aaron 1000. And also, everybody, there's something called upvote. What is it? It's another hype. Yeah. Y'all can also hype the video. So if you see a button that says hype the video, please hype the video. That's something.
I think it's only on mobile, on a mobile app.
Oh, really?
I think so. Yeah, that's what I read. Yeah. So if you're on the mobile app,
okay, maybe
I could be wrong, but I think it is. And then it depends on the content, because I had an issue where none of my hypes were showing, and then I reached out to the team, and they said like some videos they allow it, some don't. Like if it's premiered, and I don't know. That's strange. Yeah. But hopefully they expand it. But hype's supposed to push you out to the algorithm heavier, and you get 3 hypes a day or a month, something like that, as a viewer. Something like that, and then it's worth like over 1,000 points. Yeah.
So does anybody see the hype button on this video? Because I'm just trying
right by the description. It should be. Let me see if I can see it on you.
Yeah, let me know if y'all see the hype button. But let's get to this video real quick. I want to see what you have to say about this. Well, actually, hold on. I don't want to go too fast. So this video right here.
It's actually eluding them how the money is coming from Japan and Korea. And wasn't that Charlie's last trip? Bizarrely, he went to Korea, and then after he went to Korea and met with the pastor, that pastor got arrested. And then after he went to Korea, he went to Japan. I'm just saying the past is feeling like it's a bit prologue. Why was Charlie going to build up? What does Charlie Kirk have to do with Korea?
To be honest, I wasn't going to talk so quickly about GGLF again, which is for Charlie Kirk's life insurance policy. But I don't know what to do with this information. Once I found out about it, I knew I had to come straight to you guys and let you take it from here. So I'm going to give you the information and let you do what you do best and share it and figure out what the hell is going on here with GGLF, Wyoming, in North Korean weapons money laundering. The FBI seized 3 Wyoming companies for funding North Korean nuclear weapons. Candace Owens actually dropped a 25-minute segment connecting Turning Point USA to the Unification Church at what she calls a Moon Inc. style money laundering operation. Now, Charlie Kirk's life insurance company was registered by the same firm at the very same address as those North Korean shell companies, and it's still the same today. Unification Church owns the Washington Times, actually, and they're running the martyrdom narrative.
Unification Church owns the Washington Times. Damn it.
Yeah.
It's like it's the control of the media, the churches, and it's everybody.
Kirk's last trip was to South Korea, and he was there to protest raids on the Unification Church, and he said he had concerns to discuss this when he got back, but he never came back. This is the video where we actually connect some of this. Now, if you watch my last videos, you know about GGLF 2023 LLC, the Wyoming company, which $350,000 loan was given to through TPUSA. That's the life insurance, dissolved for $60 and then reinstated at midnight. But here's what I didn't tell you until now. In May of 2024, the FBI seized 3 Wyoming LLCs, only 3 actually, and it's these exact 3 for funding North Korean weapons destruction programs: Culture Box, Next Nets, and Blackish Tech. All 3 registered by Registered Agents Incorporated. All 3 at the same address of Charlie Kirk's LLC, 30 North Gold Street, Suite R, Sheridan, Wyoming. GGLF 2023 LLC, Charlie Kirk's life insurance, registered by Registered Agents Incorporated at 30.
You say something?
I just said this shit is crazy, bro.
Yeah.
North Gold Street, Suite R, Sheridan, Wyoming, with the same agent, same address, same suite. The only registered agent publicly identified by the FBI as registering North Korean weapons funding shell companies is the same one that registered Charlie Kirk's life insurance policy. And it's still there right now today. They never moved it. In fact, they reinstated it with the same company. After the FBI headlines, after the assassination, after everything. Why? 2 days ago, Candace Owens did something interesting, 25 minutes on Turning Point USA and the Unification Church, Sun Myung Moon's empire, the Unification Church. And here's what the post found: a complex web of nonprofits, for-profits, and media holdings, money moving freely between entities. Investigators could never trace where it came from. Much of it flowed from Japan and Korea. Moon owned the Washington Times. He bailed out Jerry Falwell's Liberty University with $20 to $40 million. He allegedly helped the CIA during the Iran-Contra situation. Now, Candace draws a direct line to TPUSA, nonprofit, for-profit vendors, media properties, real estate, faith initiatives, and money flowing between entities. And here's her theory. Charlie Kirk was sent to South Korea and Japan, not for speeches, but for money. And when he refused to transform TPUSA into a Moon Inc. style operation, when he wouldn't sell out, he was betrayed. I'm not endorsing that theory, but I am asking some questions. Why is Charlie Kirk's life insurance company registered with the same firm as North Korean weapons operations?
Golly. You just dropped so much freaking information. Golly.
Why? Okay, so like I can understand maybe you're using this. Okay, so let's be clear.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand. Registered Agents Inc. files lots of LLCs as a lawyer, tax lawyer, whatever LLC filing company. But why wouldn't you stop working with them after they had been seized by, like, companies were seized by the FBI under their watch?
Yeah.
Like, this is, there's no excuse just because they file lots of LLCs. Also, the fact that they let the policy lapse for the life insurance and then didn't pay it, whatever the reason is of that, like, you should be careful with your LLCs, especially if you're trying to be secret. Every little thing that makes a mistake with that registration company creates more scrutiny and more questions to be asked.
Right.
So to me, Turning Point USA and whoever's controlling the entity of GGLF now, which is Erika Kirk, they're not on it as they should be. They've got their hands in way too many pots, seemingly, because we're not paying attention to the details. And what do they say? The details are where you find the
details.
Devil's in the details. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, what's interesting is that GGLF could have been created possibly by the Unification Church. What if Unification Church created GGLF as life insurance or leverage as a structure, and it could work like Unification Church could be a front company, or a lawyer from Unification Church creates GGLF, they register it in Wyoming, maybe somehow using North Korea and working with them. I don't know. I mean, there's so many different things you could say. This is complete speculation.
I never thought about that part. You're right. Next thing you know, because it could be a trafficking part. It could be a trafficking, to fund trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, and then what if I'm not saying that North Korea is involved in GGLF. There's no evidence necessarily of that, because we can't find out that information. It's private. Yeah. But if they've got their hands inside of 3 companies, maybe those were just the 3 that got caught.
Mm-hmm.
So then if they are so upset at Charlie Kirk for coming over there and speaking about freedom and this and that for Christians and the border of Korea and North and South Korea, why not take a life insurance out? And if you're funneling money through Registered Agents Inc., why not try to get yourself 50 million bandos? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's possible. It's not impossible. So I'm leaving everything on the table.
Because a church or an actual person that is not the spouse of Charlie Kirk, if they were to find a way to come up on $50 million, they have to find a way to get the money allotted out to them legally also, without anybody knowing, especially if it's a church.
Now, I don't know how it would work with the bank and like the insurance paying out, but if it goes to the secret LLC, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how. I'm not that in tune with how the numbers would work there and how you would get the money over there, but they do, right? They get money all over the world, so I'm sure they'd find a way. I'm sure they have a plan if that were the case. Not saying it is, but
yeah, you are right. You are right. You are right. Let's go a little farther, and let me know if you got to go, but because I know I got limited time with you.
I got like 20
Say it again.
I got like 20 minutes left.
Okay, cool.
25
registered agents. They picked the one FBI publicly named in a weapons funding case and money laundering for North Korea. Why is it still there in that same registration company? After the FBI headlines and all the assassination and then the midnight reinstatement, it's still at 30 North Gold Street in Wyoming? What was Charlie Kirk actually doing in South Korea? Historica Wiki says he and Rob McCoy went to protest government's raids on Unification Church. Why is the Washington Times running the martyrdom narrative? And the Washington Times is owned by the Unification Church. They're publishing articles calling Kirk's assassination a martyrdom for Korean freedom. 12 days after Kirk died, the leader of the Unification Church was actually arrested in Korea. Why is Rob McCoy still going there? 20 days after the assassination at the DMZ, broadcasting toward North Korea, preaching in Busan, ripping off his shirt to reveal a freedom t-shirt. What did Kirk want to discuss exactly? And why were they yelling over to North Korea? His last message is, I am in South Korea. When I return to the US, I want to discuss various concerns. But what concerns and with who? Who benefits from this life insurance policy? Who made it actually? I'm starting to think that Charlie Kirk didn't even know about this policy. You might think, how is that possible? Well, in Wyoming, you can create a company that you don't need to disclose personal information. And then if you did have to disclose for the life insurance policy, anybody that had the personal information and e-signature of Charlie Kirk could do that for themselves. I'm telling you, this could happen. Somebody with Charlie Kirk's personal information, his medical history, his signature, his ID, any of that stuff could file an LLC in Wyoming and also take out a life insurance policy. It wouldn't be that hard. I'm sure somebody could do it. Erika Kirk is now the CEO of TPUSA, and she controls the organization that funded her husband's policy. So who gets the payout? And why is there the same company that they chose to do business with and still continue to do business with, that the only agency that the FBI had caught in Wyoming doing North Korean money laundering for shell companies of weapons of destruction with North Korea, the same entity that they did business with in order to take out the life insurance policy for Charlie Kirk? The FBI seized North Korean shell companies at that same address. GLF is still there, same place. Kirk's last trip was to South Korea, connected to the Unification Church. The Unification Church newspaper is writing his legacy. Candace is drawing a line from Moon Inc. to TPUSA. The insurance company was dissolved for $60, reinstated at midnight, never moved from the address that FBI flagged for weapons funding for North Korea. Do you understand? Kim Jong-un is connected to this directly. I don't know what is going on. Either this is the worst governance in nonprofit history, or it's just not an accident. You decide which one it is, but somebody knows the truth. Share this video because everyone needs to ask, what is going on? Someone has the answer and they're not talking.
Hold on, let me show your logo. I think your logo shows up. Yeah, the original Dangster, but you change your name.
The handle.
But yeah, man.
Well, what you need to understand is that Unification Church, what it actually is that it when she says Moony or Moon, it was founded by Sun Myung Moon in South Korea. Okay. Yeah. And Moon himself claimed to be the second coming of Christ. All right. So his followers called him the true father. The rest of the people called him the Mooney, called him Moonies, called them, the followers were called Moonies. So yeah, it's this, not only is it just this real weird religious cult, this is a multi-billion-dollar global empire with deep ties to intelligence ops. So this is all like during the Cold War, Moon's this dude his organization served as like a conduit for anti-communist funding. Yeah. And some investigators that I've read believe that CIA flowed money through Unification Church networks to fund certain operations in Latin America and Asia, Eastern Europe. And then in, I think it was like in the 80s, early 80s, maybe 81 or 82, he founded the Moon himself founded the Washington Times. And then he lost like a lot of money keeping it afloat. And then they gave him this megaphone into American conservative politics. And then Washington Times shaped into this conservative opinion over these decades.
I want to ask you a question. Have you ever heard of the connection or the direct connection between CLD and CIA?
No, what's that?
Church of Latter-day Saints.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. The Mormons and Church of Latter-day Saints are, speculated to work with the CIA. Yeah. Because they do travel out, like I was saying earlier in the show, at the age of 16, as I understand it, they are required per the church to go to other countries around the world, learn a language within like 3 or 4 weeks, and then get propelled out to this country. I don't know if they choose it or if the church chooses it, but that's a perfect CIA asset, bro.
Yeah. Especially when it's always church, because you gain the most trust at a church.
Yeah, you got these young little white boys showing up to the little door with their little backpack.
They're innocent.
I'm sure there are plenty of good innocent ones, but what I'm trying to get at is,
but they look
innocent.
The
perfect.
They look
asset.
innocent.
Yeah, they look innocent, right? But yeah, I mean, they've been using, from what I understand, in the 80s, and Unification Church was involved with this as well. I mean, I think there's an organization. Have you heard of CAUSA International?
What
I
is
think
that?
it's an educational organization that was kind of like either created or in an alignment with Unification Church. And they operated in South America during the exact time period that CIA was running covert operations for like Soviet counterintelligence or Soviet influence. I can't remember exactly. But wherever the CIA had operations, apparently CAUSA showed up with money, training programs, and certain infrastructure that they would need to run operations. Like, for example, they provided millions of dollars in support for the Contra.
Yeah.
So and then this was during that Iran Contra and all of that with the Reagan administration, where illegally funded Contra after Congress banned it, all that stuff. There's, this is late, not too long ago, but it's, 30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
That money comes from Unification Church, like a part of it. And then Washington Times, right in the middle of the Cold War, is getting involved in the 80s. It's like, this is all deeper than just a neck wound and a death.
And
right? So,
and everybody in the chat, this is just more confirmation. Do y'all now understand why I'm so against churches and why I've always been so against churches? Put a 1 in the chat if y'all understand, because I just was going crazy on churches. And people was like, why do you have so much of a problem with Jesus? I said, no, it's not about Jesus. It's the church. The church uses Jesus in order to psychologically manipulate millions of people into doing things. And a lot of the things that they manipulate people to do is the tadpole stuff.
Right.
And this is what I'm saying. All you got to do is a grown ass man like, well, Jesus would want this. And all of a sudden, whoever it is on the other side was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they use the church as like this vessel of information that people are already like completely vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right. Whether you're just in full belief and you're giving your heart and everything over to Christ and God. Like, I'm Christian, but I personally don't believe it's required of me to go to church to celebrate. Like, I can close my eyes and pray and I feel Christ with me and God with me, right? I really do. I feel it. It's different from when I close my eyes versus when I close my eyes and pray. I can feel it. I don't need to go to a church. I had this conversation recently with a friend of mine because after I found out about Superfeed and tracking, I didn't know it was Superfeed at the time, but I was like, okay, well, I'm sure there's other organizations. Sure enough, if you look in documents online, there are multiple organizations, some filed under FARA, for geo-tracking churches, and they've been doing this.
Yes.
So, you don't have to, like, I'm not going to tell you or anyone else what to do with their Christianity or their life in church, but you are not, whatever, despite what someone may tell you, to my understanding and to my personal life experience, the Bible does not require you going to church.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
The New Testament never commands attending a building on any day, but it does command gathering with other believers regularly. Okay?
So church is not a building. Church is a community.
Just like AA, right? It takes two people to have a group. If you are talking about alcohol and to stay clean, that is considered a meeting. If you and I talk about Christ and God and religion, that is going to church.
Yes. So like this, not saying this is, but this can be looked at as church. You don't have to go into a building with these evil ass pastors. You do not have to. So I'm not anti-God. I love God. I love Jesus. I am anti-building. I am the anti-building, the church. Okay. Not God. Okay. So I just need y'all to understand, because I want to keep y'all protected to the best of my ability. I'm over here, y'all over here. So, I can't just jump in front of a bullet for you, but I can give you just something to think about that will protect you, and not just you and your family, you and your
From many
grandmother.
things,
Yeah,
from
your
grifts.
grandmother may be going to church, and this stupid ass pastor is telling her to give her social security money to the damn church. And now your grandmother could turn around and lose her house because the damn church is manipulating her. That's what I'm saying.
I can say, I can give you a verse. Matthew 18:20 says, "For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am among them." Right?
Boom. Yeah.
That's from the Bible. So you want to have a problem with it? Take it up with Jesus.
Yes. Because
You
let me
know?
tell y'all the difference between a mega church and a huge platform. On a huge platform, thousands of people, just like on Candace Owens' show, Ian Carroll's show, thousands, and it'd be like 10,000 to 100,000 people on Candace Owens live, right? That's more people that can fit in any mega church, right? They're not requiring you to give them no money. They're not sitting here. They're not doing anything. You're just there, and you're enjoying everything. And if you want to contribute, you can. There's an opportunity to contribute. But hundreds of thousands of people are watching and commenting, and there's no building. So that's what I'm saying. Just like here, it's not hundreds of thousands of people here, but it's the same thing. It's 900 people here. So if you want to have church in any type of way, it does not have to be in a building. More people can or are showing up to these YouTube shows than people are showing up in church. And we are actually helping people. We are more fulfilling. We are like opening people's eyes. We're not manipulating nobody. Because that's the thing. That's the thing. Nobody's going after your children here. I can't come off of this channel and go down and start getting in your face and try to have sex with you or send
Track you on the way home.
Or track you on the way home or geo-fence you or anything. I can't get to you to your siblings. I can't do nothing. I'm just on the internet. So you're safe. And if you don't like the information, you can go to Barron's show or somebody else's show or Dank's show. So the thing about it is you're more safe here and on these other platforms than you will ever be in a disgusting demonic church. That's all I'm saying.
And look, nobody wants to be, I'm not, I'm sure you're not, and I'm not trying to persuade anyone to not fulfill their religious desires, but at least be aware, at least know what's happening, because there's a lot of people, most people don't even know what geofencing is, and now you do because you showed up. And I'll be honest, I've learned more about Christianity and Christ and God and fellowship through Christian channels that are just there. Like there's this one dude, this Hispanic dude, he goes out and he exposes witchcraft, and he used to be in witchcraft and now he's a Christian and he met God and all this stuff. And he goes and shows you what witchcraft is and how people act, and they're scared of Christ. Like, it's so interesting because you can learn a lot of different things that you wouldn't get, that they're scared to talk about in church. You know what I mean? They won't teach you about, because they want you to keep coming back and giving. I was not rubbed the wrong way, but I've just always felt it strange that like there's a church I've been to before where it's like there's a whole 20-minute segment right before the sermon that is like all about giving the money and sowing your seed and 10% this, and if you make $900 a week, what's $90? And it's like, well, $90 is a lot if you're only making $900 a week,
That's a fact.
And then where's that money going? There's no governance there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And they don't know how to pay taxes.
And they don't have to pay taxes. Yeah. And they don't have to disclose it.
So
I mean, you know, we've gone down a different rabbit hole, but at the same time, it's part of the same thing, because
to me it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But man, thank you for pulling up, man. I'm gonna go ahead and end the show right here, man. And of course, whenever you want to come back or you want to have me on your show, I'll gladly come on that. But yeah,
absolutely,
man. But is there anything you want to say to everybody? Tell everybody where they can find you at.
Yeah, you can find me on X and on here on YouTube at Dankster Intel. Name's on the screen right there, at Dankster Intel. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be, look, I don't try to make content for the sake of making content. I will wait to make content until I find value to bring that nobody else has brought yet.
I'm the same way.
So if you want to, yeah, absolutely. You brought, oh man, dude, you've opened up a lot of can of worms that, bro, months before people were even thinking about, you know. Now all of a sudden, now Romanian Angel comes out 3-4 months later. You're on it day one.
Yes.
So I appreciate everything you do. And if you want to, you know, follow somebody that brings out material that is that's credible, backed up with receipts, I'm your guy. So thanks for having me.
All right, man. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll keep in touch. All right.
All right, man. Thank you. And God bless everybody. Take care.
All right.
All right.
Y'all
cheers.
make sure to follow Dankster Intel right now on X as well as YouTube. He drops fire. So I have a lot more to talk about, but I'm going to put it in another video. I'm going to start doing pre-recorded videos a little bit more often, because I'm getting so much information where I'm getting overwhelmed myself. So it makes more sense for me to get one piece of information, make a 8-minute video and move on to something else, and then make another 8-minute video, because the 2-hour videos, I be trying to compile all this stuff in order to give you guys a great show, and it's like overwhelming. So I need to get more information out more often, like 3 videos a day versus 1 live stream a day. And I think that would be more helpful for y'all and for me, because I'll be having to get it out. And I'd be like, oh, I got to set this live. I got to do this. I got to do that. Forget it. I'm just going to put it out and go from there. And I think that'll be faster and easier for me and more entertaining for y'all. So I didn't play the like button the video last time. So I'm about to play the like button video, because folks was like, man, you ain't played the like button song in a minute. So here is the like button song.
Everybody hit the like button. 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 If you got something to say, drop it in the comments. Don't be acting afraid. What? Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. If you got something to say, drop it in the comments. Don't be acting afraid. Drop your city in the chat. Let me know you at. Drop your city in the chat. Let me know you at. Drop your city in the chat. Let me know you at. Drop your city. Wet. Drop your city in the chat. What? Drop your city. What? Drop your city in the chat. Drop your city in the chat. What? Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. What? Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button.
Just do it. Just